This was the day. It was the day that I didn't think I would see coming this quickly. Transfer day. It is Wednesday, and I am to meet my new companion at the mission office to open my new area. My companion was brand new, straight out of the MTC, and it was up to me to show him the ropes while learning this new area on the fly. A few days earlier, I was on cloud 9. I was serving as a zone leader in a great singles ward and had recently witnessed one of our closest investigators and best friends accept the invitation to be baptized. Her baptism was set for the Saturday following transfers. After a mission leadership conference, my mission president pulled me aside and broke the news that I was going to be training again, serve as a district leader, and open a new area. I knew that this was going to be very hard for me, but I wanted to please the Lord, so I accepted the call. Word spread in that small town of Kingman that we had arrived and were preaching our beliefs. We didn't care that the pastors in the local churches were preaching not to listen to us, nor that it was freezing cold outside. We felt like we were invincible. A couple of months into that experience, we still had not ever seen any of our investigators come to church. It didn't help that the church building was a 30-minute drive away in Pratt, Kansas, so we thought we needed to up our efforts. Getting to church should not be that hard if our investigators really wanted it. We were stumped at what to do. But then we thought that service opportunities was the right thing to do. We were already doing service at the local recycle plant, but perhaps being seen within the religious community would help. The inside front cover of the missionary planner has a service suggestion of asking if we can be a member of clergy at the local hospital to people in crisis. When we went to the hospital to ask about it, they referred us to the local religious council, where all the pastors and ministers from the town of Kingman would meet to discuss town subjects. We thought this would be a great opportunity to make ourselves known. We were excited. Finally, the morning came where we would meet these religious leaders to ask if we could help out in the hospital. The room where we met was in the back of a local family restaurant and was decorated with vine and flower wallpaper. A long table split the room where everyone would sit and order food and coffee. As each minister filed into the room, we greeted each of them with smiles and handshakes. Some even engaged us in friendly conversations. Things were going well. But then one particular pastor entered the room and immediately questioned our attendance. We kindly told him that we were referred here to request permission to be a part of clergy at the hospital to help people in times of crisis. At that moment, he said that only Christians were allowed both in that council and in the hospital clergy list. I reminded him that we are indeed Christians, but that made him put more emphasis on the fact that we were not Christians. I was fed up at that point. I had no patience with this guy. Elder Clay wanted to stay longer, but I refused. I knew right from the get-go that we would get nowhere with him. I believe all the other ministers would not care if we went to the hospital. We wanted to do something good in the community, but this one pastor didn't care. A couple of weeks later, we finally found service in the basement of the local Presbyterian church, working in their food bank. This food bank was not very big, but it satisfied the needs of many people in that town who desperately needed it. We were satisfied helping those come in by stocking shelves and carrying bags out to cars. What a blessing that was. Time passed. I got a new trainee a few weeks later, and things were going well. But then came Valentine's Day 2014. Elder Dixon and I were doing our normal service time at the food bank when this very same pastor entered the room and immediately demanded that we leave and never return. You know, it is truly ironic as to how un-Christ-like this community leader and supposed Christ-like person was. He was the opposite of what I know Christ to be like. Let me explain. The moment he came in and demanded that we leave, I was helping somebody who spoke only Spanish. I refused to give in to his request to leave, even though my companion easily gave in to his demands. I honestly thought he was joking the first time he asked us to leave, but then this argument got heated enough to where he threatened to call the police if we didn't leave. The women who were running the food bank supported us that what this pastor was doing was completely unfair and unnecessary, but he didn't care what they said or thought. All he wanted to do was get rid of the Mormons that were intruding a Christian church. When we got outside, we had a talk. I knew that I had to keep my cool in order to represent the Lord the way he would act if he were there in my place. I pled my case to him, but he was having none of it. I then said, quote, "This is totally unfair. What would Jesus do?" End quote. He then said, quote, "He would be doing the same thing that I am doing to you." End quote. I was completely shocked by his answer. Really? The Prince of Peace, the great Jehovah? He would kick us out of doing a good thing? The first thing that came to my mind was the story of the Good Samaritan. Why would Christ give a metaphor like that when they were enemies? Why would he engage in conversation with a Samaritan woman who was simply retrieving water from a well? I never asked him these questions because I thought then it would become Bible bashing, which I did not want to engage in because one, I was bad at it, and two, that would lead to contention, which would drive the Spirit away. After that experience, I knew that I would blow up if I continued, so Elder Dixon and I just walked away. I knew that this experience would bless both of us as we move forward and learn from it. A couple of weeks after that, I was transferred to a far distant zone and did not hear about anything else that happened until the day before I flew home from my mission. The missionary who replaced me told me that he and Elder Dixon went back to the food bank where they were gladly accepted again by the volunteer women. But, just as he did before, the pastor saw that the elders had returned. The pastor came in and again demanded that they leave. But after lots of support from the women workers, the pastor just said, quote, "You better leave or else," end quote. We didn't have any fear as missionaries. We just loved bringing people the light of the gospel everywhere we went. I miss my mission a whole lot, and it has been almost 2 years that I've been home. Time flies, that's for sure. My challenge I issue to you is one of love. When a potentially highly contentious conversation or situation arouses, be the peacemaker. Don't burst into anger. That will only bring regret. Show the love of Christ everywhere you go. Smile. Open the door for someone. Wash the dishes in your apartment. Something small like that will go a long way in making someone's day. It is your choice. Thank you.